All right, it is 10:35, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance-Auditing Committee for Thursday, March 26th, 2026. Before we begin, please note the meeting is being recorded. Welcome to everyone joining us here in person, as well as those listening on the phone. If you'd like to provide public comment at today's meeting, or if you've not done so already, please let Thomas in the back of the room or Justine on the call-in line know what items you would like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, please begin by calling the roll.
Thank you. Good morning again, everyone. We are a committee, so I'm going to start with Director Cochran.
Here.
Devlin.
Here.
Giudice.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Matson.
Here.
Verdonian is absent. Vice Chair Parr.
Present.
Chair Rabbit is absent, and President Hill.
Sure.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers located on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. We'll begin with item number 3, which is ratification of previous actions by the Auditor Controller. Monique Spike from PFM is here today with us to go over the investment report, which begins on page 9. Monique, please take us through your report. It'll be interesting to hear how you frame this today.
Now, Barb.
Yeah.
Pressure. No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me this morning. And, you're absolutely right. I think that, what a difference a couple of weeks make in the grand scheme of things. I think where we sit with the report, which has material dated, at the end of February, we're in a much different situation, both in the treasury markets and in the economic markets. So I'll do my best to summarize where we started and where we ended up today. So I'm going to start on page 10, which is a summary of the treasury yield curve. And I just want to highlight a couple of things for the board. One, between January and February, yields across the curve, particularly in the 2 to 5 year area, declined dramatically. And there are a couple of things going on with that rate decline. One, the market moved from a higher for longer sentiment and was very firmly on board with the idea that the Fed would have at least 1 to 2 rate cuts potentially in 2026. And so those rate cuts were essentially priced into the market. We also had a lot of things going on in February, some geopolitical uncertainty, certainly not to the extent we have now, which I'll talk about in a moment. But the concerns about the job market, AI proliferation, what that would do to jobs overall. And we just saw a general sentiment that we'd see rate cuts and the Fed looking to spur economic growth. Where we sit today, by the end of February, there's Operation Epic Fury started, and the world saw the geopolitical uncertainty essentially go much, much higher. And so today, if you're looking at that 2-year treasury, and I'm going to jump to the yield curve on page 13 of the packet, at the end of February, the 2-year treasury yield was
Just a minute.
Oh, no problem.
All right. Carry on.
At the end of February, the 2-year treasury was 3.37. Today, the 2-year treasury yield sits at 4%. And so tremendous jump in interest rates. Now, where's that coming from? One, inflationary concerns have, as I mentioned, skyrocketed. With the conflict in Iran, the Strait of Hormuz being restricted, the number of oil barrels dropping dramatically, we're essentially seeing prices go crazy. The expectation for the price of a barrel of oil, at one point, the expectations hit as high as $120 a barrel. Today, some estimates suggest it could be $110 a barrel. Either way, folks are seeing prices at the pump. So we're seeing significant inflation shocks, which are causing yields to rise. We're seeing concerns about the consumers essentially taking that higher cost of gas and energy as an additional tax burden because they are paying those prices. I'm sure everyone in this room has felt that shock at the gas pump. Anecdotally, my husband all of a sudden wants to drive my hybrid Sonata instead of his Subaru Ascent. So you are seeing consumers shift behavior in real time, and that has implications for growth in the long run. And so where we find ourselves, higher inflation, this sentiment that rates may actually be higher for longer. Fed Chair Powell made a comment that they have to see whether the Iran situation resolves itself, whether this price hike is temporary or it's going to persist for some time. We know that there has been talks about the federal government potentially negotiating with Iran. Iran continues to say they're not negotiating with the federal government. So all of this uncertainty just leads to the idea that we just may see higher rates for some time, and translate that for us into inflation expectations, perhaps lower growth expectations because of that. Now, as far as the strategy, just trying to put a pragmatic lens on what we're doing, I continue to communicate that our goal at all times has been to really focus on the safety and liquidity characteristics of the portfolio. With that, we have continued to look at investments for their credit quality. Over the past few weeks, we've been purchasing both treasuries and corporate notes. And one of the things that we have been able to do because rates have gone up is taken that as an opportunity to add some higher income securities to the portfolio. So from a practical standpoint, as rates rise, you are being able to benefit from higher yielding investments. On the corporate end, spreads for those investments, essentially the amount of additional income you get for utilizing things outside of the treasury curve, have also gone up. And so we've benefited from that as well. And so there have been opportunities for us to add that additional income, but we are staying rooted in the primary objectives of safety and liquidity. So really continuing to work with your staff, making sure we understand what we're needing to do maturity-wise and liquidity-wise, but taking advantage of opportunities as they come together. So with that said, I'll just show the portfolio on page 17 of your packet. This tends to be my favorite exhibit, and because it really highlights the diversification inherent in our strategy. Really looking to have, a core block of treasuries, which still stands as the, safe risk-free investment class, but also looking to diversify across a number of different sectors and issuers within those sectors. Income is fairly strong for your portfolio. When we add in your liquid assets like Camp and Leaf, the portfolio yield is a 4.12, and the portfolio's exclusive of those assets of 4.07. So really strong income. We'll continue, as I mentioned, to stay on the safety and liquidity focus, and we'll continue to weather the volatile markets. And again, month to month, it seems like we have very broad swings in what the market is doing, but your portfolio has been anchored in the fundamentals. So we're really happy with where we sit. All right, I'll pause there for questions.
Thank you. Are there questions for Monique?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just not really a question, just I want to extend my thanks to Monique for her great reports that she does every month, but also for additional support that she's provided me in terms of understanding the details. I appreciate you taking time with me as example today. So
Thank you
thank you so much for helping me round out my understanding. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Well, that was pretty easy.
Thank you so much.
You do a good job.
Trying to make lemonade.
Thank you so much. We really do we look at it and then we are anxious to hear if you have any insights. So we appreciate the fact that you can't have many because none of us do, but thank you so much. Director Hill. Looks like we have one.
We're just all in shock.
Yes. Okay, I guess we're done. Thank you so much. All right. That concludes the discussion on item number 3. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no public speakers on item number 3.
Right. Is that true of the of Justine also?
Yes.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion on item number 3?
So move. Second.
Thank you. I have a motion in a second. Madam Secretary, would you please do a roll call?
Thank you. Starting with Director Cochran,
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Judici,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Rodoni is absent. Vice Chair Park.
Yes.
Chair Rapid is absent, and President Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes. And earlier I forgot to mention that also Directors Parrish and Snyder are on the report. Anyone that's listening.
All right, thank you.
And learning.
I think we saw you before. We have nothing under items 4 and 5, so we'll continue to item 6, which is to approve actions relative to the annual review of rule number 11, our investment policy of the rules of the board. The staff report begins on page 39, and Cody Smith is here to present the report. Cody, please begin your report.
Yes, thank you, Director Parr and members of the board. Nice to see everybody. I'm here to request approval for the delegation of authority for the investment management per the rules of the board, particularly as it relates to the investment policy. This is an annual delegation of approval to the audit controller, which of course is Jen. And so it's just a delegate authority for her to manage our investments. Other things is that there is an annual review that occurs every year with the investment policy to make sure that we stay current with the California Government Code, specifically sections 53601 and 53607. So there is a couple edits this year. Most notably, we are already in compliance with both sections. We're eliminating some added restrictions that better aligns our policy with the state code. And so making sure they're running parallel with each other, and adds for added flexibility and efficiency for our policy. Another change is just making sure that we provide you guys the requirements of information, specifically the list of transactions, which is included in our monthly investment report. And this is all of the investment trades that are occurring that actually Monique and her team are handling as they manage our portfolio. So we included that information to, again, ensure compliance with the California Government Code. Last but not least, some changes to the policy have just been some nomenclature changes. Again, making sure we stay current and up to date with the code and make sure all of our resolutions and references are also up to date. So with that, I'd like to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Cody? Right, in that case, thank you, Cody, for the presentation. This concludes the discussion on item number 6. But before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this?
No speakers for item number 6.
All right, thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion in a second. Madam Secretary, would you please conduct a roll call?
Starting with Director Cochran,
Yes.
Devlin,
Aye.
Judici,
Yes.
Hernandez, Maston.
Aye.
Rodoni is absent. Vice Chair Park.
Aye.
Chair Rapid is absent. President Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. We'll continue on to item 7, which is to receive the independent auditor's communication with those charged with governance and engagement letter for the annual financial audit and single audit for the years ending June 30th, 2026, as submitted by Iden Bailey, LLP. The staff report begins on page 61, and Cody is here to present the report. Would you please continue, Cody?
Yes, thank you so much. 2 documents presented. One is the governance letter. This is a letter from Iden Bailey, our auditors, to you, the management team, just discussing the scope of the audit and what our responsibilities are in terms of the district, and also what the audit team is doing with what the auditors' responsibilities are. So that's the governance letter. The engagement letter is the kickoff to audit season, kind of like baseball season yesterday. But I will rest assured that my audit team will not lay a goose egg like the Giants did last night. So we will knock it out of the park, this audit. But we already had our interim audit already happened last month. We'll do our single audit in the summertime. That's the schedule of expenditure of federal awards. That's the capital grants in the summertime, and then we'll do our final audit in the fall, and of course bring both those reports, both audits to you in the wintertime. So January and February typically has what we've been doing. So again, just lays out our roles and responsibilities of the audit, and again, I'm confident we will pass with flying colors. So with that, any questions, please?
All right, thank you, Cody, for this presentation. Are there any questions or comments from directors on this item? In that case, that concludes the discussion. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers for item number 7 in the room or online.
In that case, thank you. May I have a motion on item agenda number 7?
So moved. Second.
Second, thank you. Ms. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Thank you. Voting on item number 7, starting with Director Cochran. Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Rodoni is absent. Vice Chair Parr.
Aye.
Chair Rabbit is absent. President Hill.
You vote, sir? All right, that's a vote. That's a yes.
I guess it didn't work.
No, the nod doesn't work. But yes, thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you. We'll continue now to item number 8, which is the status report of the fiscal year 25-26 budget. The staff report begins on page 75. Jennifer Minucci is here to present the report. Jennifer, thank you.
Gave me the short seat again, or I'm just short, but
They're all short when you're not a tall person. I get the short one up here. I think they trade them back and forth.
thank you, Chair Parr. Good morning. I'm here. Let's see, item 8, status report on the budget. If you turn to page 77 in your packet, it's always the table that I look at on a monthly basis to show how we're doing from budget to actual revenues and expenses. And if you recall, we started out with a $58 million shortfall. We have a $34.5 million SB 125 one-time funding. So we're looking at that because that ends this fiscal year. So if we apply the the one-time shortfall funding, you're down to 23.7 million. And as we look down through the month, at the end of the day, we're tracking well. We are doing better, beating budget in revenues. Tolls are looking up this year as our traffic slowly comes up, so that's been helpful. And we are being, as you know, as prudent as we can on the expense end. So that leaves us right now with a surplus of 10.8. Again, that's also because we have the one-time funding in there. I always have below the line kind of what the market gains are, because as I always say that it's fake money until you actually get that, but on a monthly basis, that's the valuation. So right now, if we ended the year, we would have 7 million in the black, as I say, over. So we're looking good. We're tracking where we want to be this time of year. We're lucky it's spring, so it's starting to warm up and we're starting to see traffic slowly come up in ridership. I'm happy to take any questions on this particular item if you have them.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? I noticed Dennis took his glasses off. Dennis, do you have a question?
I was thinking the same thing.
It always seems really serious when Dennis takes his glasses off. Right. Comrade, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 8?
We have no speakers for item number 8.
Thank you. There's no action associated with item number 8. We'll move on to item number 9, which is the monthly review of Golden Gate Bridge traffic tolls and bus and ferry transit patronage fares, as well as items 10A, monthly statement of revenue and expenses, and 10B, monthly statement of capital programs and expenditures. Jennifer, please begin your report for these items.
All right, so starting with item number 9, if you turn to page 87 on your packet, it's the landscaped page that I like to use, tracking bridge, bus, and ferry, both ridership and revenues. Actually, today I do want to spend a couple minutes on this, just kind of walking through what we've been seeing on trends, especially since we're now kind of 8 months into it. For bridge, as you know, we're pretty stable. I think that we had a really good February. I keep looking at that. It wasn't leap year, so it's a little unusual. So good weather. We didn't have a lot of rain. That's good for us. Just kind of as a reminder that right now on tolls, our fast track rate is 975. Our, as we call, cash rate or invoice rate is 1075. Our market share is about 86% fast track. So as we talk about revenues, you're talking more looking for an average of because it's 85% fast track, 975. Right now, we're doing well on overall on revenues, but I will tell you, as our average last year was $9.54 before we had our 50 cents toll increase. And right now we're tracking at about $9.93. So compared to the fast track rate, somewhere in between fast track and the invoice. But as we start seeing the shift on how people pay, that's going to affect your revenue. So I'm glad to watch the traffic, but as your auditor controller, I'm looking at the overall bottom line revenue piece and what that trend's like. So I just wanted to kind of show you a little piece there. And then as you go through bus, it is doing well on ridership. We're remaining stable. Kind of as I kind of look through the months, we have increased. Of course, we had less days in February. And then as I look at the dollars, however, we are $5.28 last fiscal year was our average fare. Just if you looked at our budget book, that's what we ended up the year at. Right now, we're tracking about $5.53, which is great. We have a 25-cent increase that started in July. All that to kind of kick off, as you know, we've been talking a lot about mascots and that coming up. And as our ridership shifts, I'm looking forward that the ridership itself seems to be increasing, but where the people are going will affect your revenues, because I would expect shorter trips, as we're not going to be doing as many long hauls on the fares. So your Sonoma big fare or longest haul fare is $14.75 versus if you're in a one zone at $5.75. So that gives you kind of a sense that if our average fare is $5.53 right now, and our one zone fare is $5.75, just, we're seeing a lot of what I'll call local rider one zone rides. So we're just looking at that. My folks will start studying that a little more as we get into the budget to give you some better projections as we reach coming into the next fiscal year. But just want to kind of show you kind of the trends that are happening for bus, and that when mascots takes place, we'll just be looking to see if there are any significant changes. But I know that kind of in the corridor of San Francisco has been very stable. And so that fare is kind of showing kind of a majority bulk as we start averaging fares for. I will also say, and also I am going to look at the accuracy of this, because we are, as you all know, still in transition with the Clipper 2.0 rollout that's happened. So I will also say that I'm not sure on the dollars. We've been having a lag on getting our revenue reconciled in a timely manner. So that may shift. I'll be taking a look at that also for the next month. But we are starting to hone in as we start getting into the spring, which we hope to see increase in ridership like we always predict. And then lastly, for ferry, I would say that the Clipper 2.0 rollout that happened is probably has a greater effect, mainly because we are able to have open payments, which is great on the credit cards, but that has shifted kind of our average fare. So our average fare last year was $9.08 for the fiscal year. And right now we're tracking at $8.83. So if you look at that, and we had a 25-cent increase in fares starting in July. Right now, your Larkspur fare for Clipper fare only is $9.25 to kind of give you a relation of averages. And your Sausalito, Tiburon, Angel Island is $8.25. And that's the Clipper fare. As you know, we have a limited use ticket fare, which is much higher. But we're definitely seeing people using the Clipper fare both for open payment and for the Clipper card, which is great, I think, for what we want our customers to do. But we'll be looking at kind of that fare structure as well, just to give you a sense of what we're seeing 8 months into it. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Those are interesting numbers. Dr. Mansky.
Yeah, the average fares that you quoted, are those net or gross?
Those are just fare only. Yeah, before
Gross.
expensive. Yeah, gross.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Are there other questions for Jim? Right, thank you so much.
All
We
right.
appreciate that.
Item 10A. So item 10A here is your financial statements for revenues and expenses. So I always call this the cash flow one that right now it doesn't match per se some of the when we look at the budget status report. That's why we do this. This really is what shows that we have 24.8 million. But if you remember, we have that one-time funding up front. As we say, we bill early and often, so we want to get that money in the coffers early. And so we expect to see that kind of slowly come down as our expenses rise through the fiscal year. Happy to answer any questions on this.
Are there any questions for Jennifer on NA?
All right, one more.
Carry on.
10B, so this is the review of capital programs and expenses. And my favorite is, I know Director Cochran would always kind of look down to the right, make sure everything, just so you know, we had some rounding issues and I made sure that that was done beforehand. And, but if you look at the percentages, you know, we don't normally have these kind of over 100% percentages as we look at the capital program and as it relates to budget. But as you know, we have kicked off seismic. So what this really shows is that we've kicked off seismic. We have a mobilization payment that I think is what, 77 million, give or take, 77 million. This reflects, I think, about the first 25. The second payment we just paid this week. And the third we expect to do next month. And so after we do kind of the big lump of the mobilization for seismic, we expect it to calm down quite a bit on the expense side for that capital project, which is pretty much skewing all of these numbers, in my opinion. And with that, also happy to answer any questions on this.
Any questions for Jennifer on that?
All right, that's all I have.
Brandon? Thank you. There are no actions required for any of these items. We're just listeners on this. Processors. All right, before we continue to item number 11 on the agenda, which is closed session, if there are no objections, I'd like to accommodate the public and take item 12, public comment now instead of after closed session. Are there any objections to taking public comment now? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public wishing to address the committee under item 12, public comment?
We have no speakers in the room for public comment for items 9, 10A, 10B as well.
All right.
But I am going to ask that we allow Justine to poll one more time on the public line. Justine, could you poll the public line one last time just to see if there's any speakers for the committee?
Certainly. Is there anyone that's joined us that would like to speak this morning at the Finance Auditing Committee meeting? Please press ** to unmute yourself and let me know. I am not hearing anyone this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no speakers.
All right, thank you very much. We'll be placing the public on hold for the duration of our closed session item and return after closed session to adjourn to the meeting. Attorney Kim Manolius will take us into closed session. Kim, I'll turn things over to you.
Thank you, Chair Barr. At this time, the Finance Auditing Committee will go in closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding some existing litigation under Government Code 54956.9B2. The case is called De Leon versus Dolomieu Bridge District. So you're going to closed session.
Well, you're done.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience while we're in closed session. I just want to let you know that OPEB will begin shortly after the conclusion of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting. And I would appreciate it if you please keep your own devices on mute during the duration of closed session. Thank you.
All right, we're back in open session.
All right. So the Finance Auditing Committee met in closed session for conference with legal counsel regarding the case that's listed on the agenda, and gave its lawyers appropriate guidance as to how to handle the matter.
Thank you very much. And with that, we reach the end of the agenda. May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second, please. Hearing no objections, this concludes the meeting of the Finance Auditing Committee. Thank you, colleagues. The time is 11:12.